I want to talk a little bit about yarn choices for our mystery shawl knit along, Greenclock. You might also be a little bit curious about the name. Greenclock is an Irish word, and if you speak Irish, you know it is two words put together. What it actually means, it's a rock. It's a quartz rock is the name, but the green means sun, and clock means stone or rock. So it's like a sunstone, which I actually kind of like the fact that it was two completely different meanings of words plopped together to make a brand new word for the name of a stone. So that's kind of a by the way, but it's often interesting knowing where words come from. And I think particularly in Irish or translating Irish to English, you end up with a lot of composite words where they take things that didn't exist in Irish and they kind of put them together. So, but that's where that one came from. The yarns for this, we're going to have two yarns for our knit along. I might give you a few hints in terms of the knit along as well. The shape, it's going to be a bias shape. So we start with a few stitches, you're increasing and decreasing, so it's leaning off like this. That tends to make a slightly narrower but longer shawl. I will throw a few options in. If you prefer your shawls wider, there's a few spots where you can very easily make them wider, and you can add to how it works as you go along. So I'll be giving hints along the way and suggestions for how you can make those little tweaks as well. But if it's knit as written, it's going to be biased, little narrower, little longer. Now the yarns, we're going to have two yarns again. The base yarn is a 4-ply we've used, and what we've got in the kits, which we've got available, is it's a vivacious 4-ply. So I've got a whole stack of colors here. So you can probably see from this why we ended up picking it. There's a fantastic range of colors. It's a kind of a fairly tight twist 4-ply or fingering weight. If you're in the US, 4-ply tends to be more of a UK term, but the weights are the same. Fingering, 4-ply, sock, they're pretty much all in the same kind of category in terms of yarn weight. It's got a nice twist on it. It's 100% merino. It's superwash, and the colors they range from these very subtle light variegations to ones with a bit more variegation and some nice brightnesses in it. So it means that depending on whether you like your shawls very, very subtle and muted, or you like pushing the boat out and go for something nice and bright, you should have a little bit of an options of both with this. So you only need one skein of this base color. And then in terms of what you pick with it, you can actually go with almost anything in terms of color contrast, because the sample I went with fairly muted color contrast. So there is a difference, but it's more to do with the texture and the type of yarn rather than the actual color being dramatically different. But it will actually work very, very well with a big contrast in color as well. So this was our base yarn. You'll have one of those. And then the second one we're looking at is a lace weight yarn. Now I used, and most of the samples are going to be in a lace weight brush mohair, because anything that's brushed, it's got the advantage of it's going to be, it fills out the stitches, it's a little looser, so it gives you a more airy feel to it without it feeling like it's too open. If you really dislike mohair, we actually do have a scrumptious lace, also from Fibre Space, and a lace weight version. So this one has got, it's actually lovely. It's merino and it's silk. It is merino. I know there's silk in there, but yeah, no, I beg your pardon. It's Blueface Leicester, not merino, combined with silk. Super soft, a lovely little shine to it. So you can use that instead of the mohair if you really are not into mohair or brush mohair, or perhaps you've got an allergy to it. In terms of the amount of yarn, you want 50 grams altogether of a lace weight, because of course you get fantastic mileage for lace weight. You get a ton of yardage. You can either do that in one 50-gram skein like this, or in, let me find it, or in two 25-gram ones, which would be the capriccio. So the three different types of fluff, as we call them, we've got the Life in the Long Grass, silk mohair. We've got Cowgirl Blues, which is a new one to us, Kid Silk, and we've got the Capriccio. With the caprito, it's kind of interesting because you've got 25 grams. So you can either go with 2 of the same color, or what I actually went with is I went 2 different colors and then I alternated between the 2 as I went through the pattern. So you've got alternating sections where you have a contrast color, which is your fluff, and you can alternate between the 2 of them. If you've got something where you've got 50 grams, you don't need to get an extra one, so you can actually just do it all with this. Particularly because most of these have a bit of variegation, you're going to get some nice color variation, and it's not just going to be one solid color. So either 250 in contrasting colors, or 150 where you've got a little bit of variegation going through. So the kind of colors we've got is, you can probably see in caprito here, some of them are very subtle, other ones like this, the butternut, it's got a little bit of striping going on in it, so it's going to have, and you know, when you actually knit it up, it will look a little more striped. The life and the long grass, it's beautiful colors, a little bit more subtle and muted. And the cowgirl blues, we actually are kind of in love with, because look at all of the fun colors. It's actually impressive that they've managed to get such color variation in a brush mohair, because it does tend to absorb the dye, so it doesn't always stay where it's put. But this actually has some quite nice variation through it. And with these ones with a lot of variation, you've also got the ability to just pull up one of these colors and match it to your main color. So this one, you could have it with the pinks where you've got these ones going through, or let me put this down, you could go with something more blue where it's the blues that will dominate. Same with this one. I've dropped the yarn now, but here we go. It's our avocado, and you can see how some of the yellows and mustards pair really nicely with this. One of our favorites is the Vivacious Tweed Imps, because of the fact that it's got a load of different little color variations. It's got kind of grays, a little bit of greens, some purples, even some pinks. So that gives you a load of pairing options, depending on whether you're going to go subtle or bright or even darker with it. So this does open up a lot of possibilities. But that's probably a good overview for the different types of yarns that are available with the knit-along kits. And also, if you've got something in your stash at home, give you an idea of how you compare them together and the kind of things you want to look for as you're going through the process. So have fun getting started pairing your yarns. It's it's the most enjoyable part of the process, because you don't know what it's going to look like yet. So you're trying to dream what it will all look like at the end of the day. So have fun.